be, your school would receive federal funding for the year. Now, there are those of you who would say that Michelle Malkin is not part of the water cycle, but is in fact a twitty conservative columnist, and you, I say, shut up.
But even though bottle is not part of the water cycle, millions of gallons of water in this nation find their way into bottles every day. People could get this water for almost free from a tap, but instead, they choose to succumb to the advertising techniques of a multitude of beverage companies.
Drink, 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 blue eyes that are bright as stars when they're shining on me. Drink, drink, drink.
The idea of paying for water began in the 18th century in New England, when water from certain springs was advertised as miracle cures. People could pay to bathe in and drink the water from that spring, and customers could buy bottles of the spring water to take home. The first shipments of water were made in the 1800s by the Maine-based Poland Water Company, who sold their water on the basis that it cured digestive ailments. In the 20th century, bottled water was mostly a service for offices or people who lived in places where tap water had extremely poor taste. Since the 1970s, due to excellent and sometimes misleading advertising by the bottled water companies centering around the purity of their product, per capita intake of bottled water has increased by a factor of 12 to over 25 gallons per person per year in the United States.
Now, tap water isn't free, but it's pretty close. Let's do a little math. If you were to buy a gallon of water from a soda machine, you'd need to buy about 6 20-ounce bottles, which usually cost about $1.25 a bottle. Per gallon, that would cost you about $7.50. On a municipal water bill, that gallon of water would have been significantly cheaper. My parents usually pay $48 a month for 6,000 gallons. Let's see, per gallon, that comes down to about that much of a penny. And if soda machine water doesn't make sense, consider what some people are willing to pay for gourmet bottled water. Check out this advertisement on aquamaestro.com for Bling H2O, a water which comes in jewel-encrusted, frosted glass, $400 per 0.75 liter bottle. Quote, Bling H2O is virtually nitrate-free, sodium-free, and contains minimal chlorides. The 100 milligrams per liter of bicarbonate account for the pH of 7.66, an optimal pH level for those who appreciate a slightly sweet taste. Now, I usually make fun of people who talk about wine using silly descriptions like nuances of asparagus and toast. But considering that wine actually has flavor to talk about, and that people are willing to pay $400 for a bottle of water, I think we can say that this has gone too far. Bottled water is not only fiscally irresponsible, it is also extremely environmentally irresponsible. Every year in the United States, 40 billion gallons of water are hauled in gas-guzzling, carbon-spewing trucks to bottled water drinkers. While this is far from being a major contributor to the problem of global warming, considering that the alternative is a zero-emission water pipe, it is definitely environmentally irresponsible. Furthermore, it takes a carbon-intensive energy process to produce a bottle, which is made of petroleum and usually only used once. Recycle? No. Usually the same laziness that keeps people from walking to a tap to get a glass of water also keeps them from walking to the recycling bin to recycle their bottles. Do some people recycle their bottles? Sure. But keep in mind that even recycling isn't as environmentally friendly as tap water, or reusing an old bottle more than once.
At this point, the bottled water devotees usually say something like,
the tap water is not always the best tasting.
I don't like the taste of chlorinated water.
Bottled water tastes better at least, and it looks better, so I drink it.
I like it because it's definitely got less pollutants, looking to not have a lot of heavy metals in my water, and generally I can find that in bottled water.
And I usually say, well, no. Here's an amusing bit from a study produced by the National Resource Defense Council. Quote, "Some of the marketing is misleading, implying the water comes from pristine sources when it does not. For example, one brand of spring water, whose label featured a lake and mountains, actually came from a well in an industrial facility's parking lot near a hazardous waste dump, and was periodically contaminated with industrial chemicals at above FDA standards."
I'm not saying that bottled water is, as a rule, dirty. I'm saying that oftentimes it's not all it's cracked up to be. The point is, municipal water goes through strict USDA regulations that make sure that the water that comes out of the tap is of good drinking quality. And that's good, because oftentimes, all the bottled water companies do is this. And then sell it at a profit of 90,000%. But misleading advertising about the purity of water is not enough to get people to buy bottled water at a 90,000% premium over the competition. Bottled water companies need to find something else to sell their product. Convenience, flavoring, and nutritive content are all ploys to get people to buy this ultimately fiscally irresponsible product.
I drink my brand of bottled water because my brand of water puts calcium in the water. And without it, I just don't know where I'd get my calcium.
I can't argue against the convenience of bottled water. It's great for people who are on the go. But do you need a new bottle every time you're on the go? Wouldn't it be cheaper and just as easy to grab a reused bottle whenever you needed to be on the go?
Then you have a bunch of bottled water being sold with flavoring. This is outlandish and ridiculous. It's water, and on principle I believe we shouldn't have to flavor it, bottled or otherwise, to get people to drink it.
In closing, allow me to address the fact that some people choose to partake in America's most wasteful consumer product because they say their tap water tastes bad. To them, I say, get over it. This is me playing My Heart Bleeds for You on the world's smallest violin. It's water. It's one of the 3 basic necessities of life. Water, food, and clothing. And if your water has a minerally taste, too bad. Drink it anyway. I urge anyone who, like me, doesn't have enough money to spend dollars per gallon on water to help take back America's sanity, to help save the environment, and to help stop the advance of America's least justified consumer product ever, to put down the Dasani and pour yourself a glass of water from a tap.